Hello, hi, what's up? So I have a really exciting video for you guys today. I don't know if this is necessarily like a review or more of a reflection or what, but today we're going to be talking about Loveless by Alice Oseman. Oh my goodness. So if you've never heard of Alice Oseman before, she is a British author. She is young and wonderful, and she writes a lot of really great, poignant books. They're very diverse. They often touch on super hard topics like sexuality and mental health. And this book, wow, this is her, I think it's her fourth novel. She's also published a bunch of graphic novels, Heartstopper, I don't know if you've heard of it. And it just came out like a couple weeks ago. I've been excited about this book for, I don't even know how long, months, maybe a year or two. I can't remember exactly when Alice started working on it, but she's been posting about it for the longest time, and I've just been super excited. So it's finally here, I finally have it, and I am so excited to get to talk to you about it today. If you don't know what Loveless is about, basically it is the story of a girl named Georgia, and she is going to university, and while she's there, she is undergoing a lot of things. Mainly, she is reconsidering her entire sexuality. She's trying to make friends, trying to figure out adulthood and all that stuff, and it's basically just like an aroace coming out story, and it is so good. Oh my goodness. I stayed up last night finishing it until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just like cried on my floor. So that right there tells you basically everything you need to know. Really quick before I get into like, I guess, spoilers, I will touch on the rep because, as you may or may not know, I am asexual, so this book is all about me. But I think a lot of people are curious to know if the rep is accurate. I can't remember if it's strictly marketed as own voices. I know Alice is on the ace spectrum. I'm pretty sure, as far as I'm aware, this is partially her experience as an aroace person. So I think if it's not exactly own voices, it's close enough. And as somebody who is actually asexual, I can tell you, it is accurate on so many levels. I did pick up this book because of the ace rep. I also picked it up because I just love Alice, and her books are really, really great. Why I've been so anticipatory about this book is I wanted to see an aroace coming out story, specifically focusing on the asexual part of it. I didn't know I needed the aro part of it as well, which I will touch on that later. But I feel like the bar is kind of on the floor at this point. There hasn't really been a lot of coming out stories for ace people. So anytime we get anything like this, I'm just super stoked to support it because anything is good at this point. But I was honestly just like blown away by the representation in this book. It's not one of those books where it's like vague and they like say asexual once and then like that's the whole book. This one was like, I don't think I've read a book where I've seen the words aromantic or asexual used so many times and so beautifully and so well. Like she explained everything in such blunt, explicit details. Not that there was like explicit sex in this book, but in such like vivid, tangible, like canonical details that like you knew exactly what was going on, you knew what she was trying to say, you knew what kind of rep she was going for, and that is just, it's really rare, I feel like, in general in contemporary novels, because they try, but sometimes they're just not explicit enough. But it's especially hard in ace rep, I guess, because it just doesn't happen very often. So anytime I see the word asexual in a book, I'm like, guys, they used the word one time. They used the word one time. We won, you know? And so getting to see it so many times was just like, I don't know. It was really, really special for me. So I would highly recommend it if you're on the ace spectrum. If you're aroace, I think it represents you pretty well. But even if you're just like questioning your sexuality or you want to know more about asexuality, this is just a really, really amazing resource, I think. A lot of people are going to use it in ways that are just going to blow people's minds because it's so good and it's such good representation, and I felt so seen. Like literally I cried. It was great. As for separate from the rep, how much I enjoyed the book, obviously I loved it. Obviously it's a 5-star read for me. Obviously I'm obsessed with it and I love it so much. But part of why I love Alice books so much is that they're more than just like the heavy topics that they discuss. Even though they discuss them very well, she is just like so good at like writing characters and writing dialogue and like meme speak, and there's so many pop culture references that I appreciated. The characters are great. The storyline is pretty great. I did have a couple issues towards the end that I was like kind of cringing, but I understand why the story needed to go the way that it did, so it's fine. But yeah, I was really obsessed with it, and I'm so excited to get to continue talking about it forever because like, oh my God, so many feelings. Like I feel like this is what people felt like when they read Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, like what all the gay boys who are reading it, like that. I understand. I get it now. I truly understand. And it's great. If you haven't read Loveless and you maybe don't want to be spoiled, or I don't know, you don't want to watch the rest of this video, and see all my personal thoughts and feelings, now would be the time to hop out and do that. But otherwise, we're going to start getting really deep and personal. So that's fun. How do I even explain this book? So I've read a lot of Ace books in the last like 5 or so years, and I'm so excited to like get to see more coming out. I feel like nowadays there is often at least 1 or 2 Ace books that come out every year, which is really awesome. But I still just like haven't read that many because there aren't that many out there. And so going into this, I was just really excited to see how it would differ from the other Ace books that I've read, because I have the other Ace books that I've read. I'm specifically thinking of books like Tasha Tolstoy, Let's Talk About Love, Every Heart a Doorway, We Awaken, etc. All of those are great. The only one that really touched on like a coming out story was We Awaken. And I do also kind of feel like Tosh was a little bit of a coming out story, but it was more her dealing with other people and her asexuality rather than her specifically dealing with it herself. And We Awaken kind of touched on some of these things. It's been a few years since I've read that, but most of those other books haven't been like this. This book I feel like was way focused on understanding asexuality as a sexuality and like coming to terms with that personally, while also dealing a little bit with the people around you, but it was very much like a centered internal monologue type of situation where Georgia was really grappling with it herself, and she did have a couple issues with people around her, but most of it was just internal that she was processing. And I haven't read that really as an ace story. And on top of that, I haven't read an aromantic asexual character before, as far as I know. Because most of the other ones that I've read, we have biromantic ace in Let's Talk About Love. Tosh is heteroromantic ace. I'm pretty sure that the main character in We Awaken is homoromantic ace, but I'm not 100% on that. So most of the other aces that I've read haven't been strictly aromantic. And it was quite an experience getting to see an aroace character for a lot of reasons. I think what I appreciated about this book was that it touched on so many points on the ace experience that a lot of books haven't touched on, or just like haven't touched on in the same way. Most of this book was Georgia learning about asexuality, learning about her romantic attraction tendencies. It showed some of her friends pushing her to like find a person. It showed her exploring like, oh wait, what if I just like girls? What if I just like boys? I don't really know. It touched on just like so many things that are so centralized to my experience and the experience of asexual people everywhere. And she did it in a way that like I noticed it because I was kind of looking for it. But I think a normal like allosexual person reading this, they would kind of maybe be surprised and wouldn't necessarily see it coming because so much of the ace experience is just not understood by allosexual people. 2 other things that I kind of want to talk about. Number 1, I really appreciated that part of the storyline was Georgia forcing herself into the allosexual box before realizing that she wasn't going to fit in that box. And the second thing I wanted to touch on later is talking about basically romance and friendships and the difference between those and what that looks like for ace people. So going back to fitting yourself in an allosexual box, I think what's great about this book is it explores so many things that I personally haven't been able to explore, or I've been scared to explore but have thought of, because I think a lot of ace people have had these experiences where it's kind of like you're kind of going through the stages of grief. I feel like you're in denial that you're ace, and you're like, you know what, no, if I like force myself onto people, if I like try searching for relationships, if I kiss somebody, if I try and have sex for the first time, if I do all this stuff, then like it'll prove to me that like that it's fine that I'm not ace, or that like you can find that one person. I think that is also something that I've struggled with, where I'm like, okay, well, like maybe for most people like I am ace, but I really do think there's that like one person out there that I'm gonna find and everything will work out, and then it'll prove that like, I don't know, I'm demisexual or I'm not ace or something like that. And so in my head there's been a lot of moments like that where I've wanted to explore it, but it's terrifying, and also I didn't really want to, which should have been like a key thing. But like getting to read about an aroace character, like having her first kiss, exploring kissing different genders to see if that would spark something, talking to sex positive people about their own experiences about sex and seeing the difference between an allosexual person and an asexual person. Like these are experiences that I haven't actually had because I haven't really like been brave enough, I guess, or I haven't really wanted to. And so getting to see Georgia live out, I wouldn't say they're fantasies because that's not the word I want to use, but like it's those hypotheticals, those what ifs that like I have thought about every day for the past like 5 years was really, really helpful to me. And it made me feel really seen because the ways that Georgia reacted, I knew that like that's how I would react in that situation. And so to get it, to see it play out for somebody who is fictional, who like I can witness it without actually experiencing it, was just so helpful to my brain on so many levels. And I think it's something that a lot of ace people struggle with, that we do often try and put ourselves into the allosexual box, into the heteronormative box. And I know why we do it. It's because we think we have to fix ourselves or whatever, but it's just like, it was a lot. Like this whole book I feel like was a lot for me to process because yeah, so I guess this is getting into some like more personal stuff that like may or may not be interesting to you, but one of the things that I've been struggling with is I've spent like about 4 or 5 years out, and so I've been aware of my sexuality for about that long, and I thought that I was good. Like I was pretty much committed to the asexual. I was going for heteroromantic for a very long time. The heteroromantic asexual identity, I accepted it. I was still searching to find love, but like I had it figured out. Everything was fine. I was sex repulsed. Everything made sense, and it was good. And then like I don't know if it was quarantine or just like me being 25 or what it is, but I felt recently that that label has not fit me. And I have been very confused about a lot of things, and trying to understand how I'm feeling has been very difficult. And so when I found this book, I was hoping that I would get some kind of epiphany moment, or I would feel seen enough and that I would be able to change my label or understand more about myself. And so getting to read this book definitely was a lot. It was a lot to process. It was a lot of personal reflection and things that I think I'm still gonna have to think about for the next like forever basically, but I did feel on some level that I was going through the same thing that Georgia was going through, just in a different way, because even though I do firmly 100% feel asexual, and like I know that is my identity, my romantic attraction and my experience with romantic relationships and finding love, hot mess. Very much on par with Georgia War. It was just, it was an experience. And I think what was also so great is that like romantic attraction, I thought I understood. I thought I got it. And then I realized reading this book that I did not get it. And so it was really, really great to see somebody like Georgia, who is like me in the sense that she was so passionate about love stories, about fan fiction, about Moulin Rouge, like love. She loves love because obviously love is the best thing in the universe. However, her own experience of it was so different from the things that she was like consuming media-wise and like all of that, that it was hard for her to separate herself from like that fantasy and that idea of like what it could be. And so that is something that I didn't ever consider, that I could love romance books and love watching love stories and like the idea of marriage and not actually do that for myself, you know? And I think it was so powerful witnessing Georgia go through her like stages of grief for that, because like there was one little chapter where Georgia was basically like, I'm grieving. Like, I understand now that like I'm not going to have these relationships. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to fall in love. I'm not going to have all this stuff that other people have. And I'm upset about it. And I'm grieving for it because I thought I was going to have it. And I'm realizing now that I want it, but I don't want it. You know, I want the idea of it, but in reality, I don't actually think I would be happy in that situation. And so that was just kind of like a lot to process, like sitting with that. And I'm still sitting with it, honestly. It's something that I don't know how I'm going to work through because it's kind of upsetting. Like on all levels, it is really, really sad to me that like I just probably won't get to experience this thing that so many people get to experience, you know? And I'm not necessarily counting it out because I have always felt that if I found the one person, I would be able to do all of it and it would all make sense. But I think that's kind of the point of this book. Like Georgia thought like that for a very long time and she kept trying things and it just like didn't work out for her. And she kind of worked through it and accepted the fact that like there probably isn't somebody out there. And that sucks. And I absolutely, like that is still really hard for me to comprehend. But getting to read a book where somebody is coming to accept that and see that somebody else has gone through what I went through makes me feel like maybe I will be able to get through this, and maybe not now, but maybe in like 5 to 7 years, I will be at a place where I'm happier and I understand that everything works out and it's all gonna be okay. And like, I don't actually want that anyway, so it's fine. So at this point, I still don't really know where I am. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, honestly. But I think I am leaning towards being aroace at this point. I have moved past hetero-romantic. I am definitely in the gray romantic scale at the moment, but I see it swinging the opposite direction of being aroace. Kind of going along with that, one of the things that really, like, the whole point of the book, and the best part of the book, honestly, is showing the difference and the similarities between, like, romance and friendships. And I think I just have not seen it done this way before, and so part of why I cried on the floor at 2:00 in the morning by myself, just sobbing, is that Alice really like showed me this option that I didn't really know was an option before. Because like obviously friendship is super important, and I 100% believe you don't need to be in a like romantic or sexual relationship to not be lonely. I went to a therapist last fall actually for the first time, and it was really, really great, all things considered, until in our very last session, the last time I ever saw her because I was not going to go back, she basically told me that, well, you know, if you don't have a romantic partner, if you don't have a sexual partner, like you're going to be lonely for the rest of your life. And she didn't exactly say it in that phrasing, but that's basically what she said. She was like, well, if you don't have this, you're gonna be lonely. I hope you know that. And I understand, like I get that as humans, like we do need community and we need other people. If you're by yourself all the time, like it's not gonna work out great for you. I understand. I totally get that. And I think friendship is a great way to substitute that. I don't think you need to be in a romantic relationship or a sexual relationship to be thriving, to be happy, to not be lonely. Because first of all, hello, I exist. I'm right here. I am literally fine. Actually, that's one of the things that Georgia said at one point. She was like, you keep talking about like, maybe I'll find somebody someday, but like, this is happening right now. Like I'm here right now. Why do I need to wait until like someday? Why doesn't this count, you know? And so a combination of all those things. The whole point of this book is showing that whole thing, that like you don't need a relationship in that sense. You don't have to date somebody. You don't have to fall in love in that way. You don't have to have sex with somebody or kiss somebody or whatever to have those deep feelings of love. And so part of what really, really hit me, there's this scene at the end where Rooney and Georgia kind of like meet each other in the field, and Georgia is just like sobbing, and Rooney's like, bro, I'm right here. What's going on? And the crux of the whole thing is Georgia saying, I can't afford to lose any like I don't want to lose any friendships because these are like my romantic relationships. Like these are my partners, and if I lose any of my friends, like that's all I have. I don't have anything other than that. And just like sitting with that, I sat with that for a good like 5 minutes and cried, because like, so simple, such simple words, like one sentence maybe, but like I don't think I ever I never considered that that's what it was. Like I have always loved my friends, and if you've read my poetry collection, this is like a really great way of showing this off, but I'm really, really notorious for romanticizing my friendships. Not that I want to kiss any of my friends, because I genuinely don't. But I see my friendships as these super special things that, like, I may not show it all the time, but I put a lot of energy into my friendships, and I support my friends as much as I can, and I am a loyal person, and I do everything in my power to make my friends know that they are loved, because, like, so many people don't love them the right way. And so as a result of that, like, my friendships have always been, like, the core to who I am. If you cross me in a friendship, it's not great. It's really, really shitty, actually. And so I take them very seriously. And now I understand why. I think it's just really, really great to compare it in that way, because it's not like I'm turning my friendship into a partner. It's not like I'm getting married to a friend and saying, we're committed forever. Like, we're in this. We got it. We can't leave each other's sides, whatever. But, like, my friendships are that important to me. And if I lose them, it is kind of like having an intense breakup, you know? Like, I'll never have heartbreak the way that people will break up romantically. Like, I won't experience that. I know that now. But, like, I personally think, like, a friend breakup is just as powerful and just as devastating. And I think this is the proof to show that. And so then after that, Rooney's response, she's basically like, dude, hi, we're not in, like, I'm not going to kiss you. We're not going to have sex, but, like, I'm right there with you. Like, I love you. I am in love with you. I will live right next door to you. I will bring you soup when you're sick. Like, I want to commit to this. I want to be your friend forever. Like, I'm in this just as much as I would be in a normal romantic relationship. When I tell you the tears that came out of my eyes in that whole scene, oh my goodness, I lost it. It was just so beautiful, because I was actually talking to my friend Gabby about this right after I finished it, but she compared it to, like, the big romantic gesture at the end of a romance book. Like, at the end of the romance book, you normally have the couple come back together after some conflict, and they're like, I will always love you, and, like, blah, 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 and I can't believe I never saw this, and blah, and, you know, they're just, like, in it. And this is that. This is the big romantic gesture, except it's not romantic. You know, you ever just, like, scream? First of all, I've never seen that before. Second of all, the most important thing is I never considered that. I never considered that I had grand romantic gestures. They're just not romantic, you know? Because I think that's what it is. Like, I don't necessarily want to kiss somebody. I don't want to be sleeping next to somebody forever, because that's just scary. But, like, I want grand romantic gestures, you know? I want people to care about me in a way that's like, I would get down on one knee and propose to you if I could, you know? I want people who will, like, pay attention to me and who will give me Spotify playlists because they know I would like it, or recommend me books because they think I would like it, who read the books that I recommend. Like, all of these romantic gestures have been lost on me, I think, because I didn't value them the way that I thought I could. Like, I just stopped, and the real reason I cried was, it was because I felt seen, but it was more so that I took a moment to step back, and, like, Rooney saying those things, I pictured my friends saying those things to me, because I know many of them would. And I think what also really got me was Rooney goes on and is like, when we're in our 40s and we have houses, finally, we're going to live next to each other. I'm going to come see you all the time. We're going to cook together. Even if I'm married and have kids, I will bring you soup when you're sick. And, like, one of George's big concerns for most of this book is, like, what happens when I am old and everybody else has, like, a partner to take care of them? What happens when they have children, to take them to the nursing home, like, stuff like that. And it gets really scary when you start to think that far out in the future. You know, like, when I'm 80, who's gonna take care of me, you know? Because I really don't think I'm gonna have anybody like that. But I think it's important to see it from this other perspective of, like, hey, I won't have a husband probably, but I know damn well that the friends that I have now, whoever sticks around, hopefully most of them too, but people like my friend Laura, who I've known since high school, people like my roommate Emily, who's not here at the moment, but, like, her. I have literally so many more that I could list, that I know if I was in trouble or sick or I needed anything, or, like, I was getting ready to, like, settle down, like, I could get a house next to my best friend. Like, that is something that can happen. And so it was hopeful, and it was something that made me stop and think, like, wait a minute, I am loved, you know? It was kind of like an inception moment where I was like, oh my God, wait, I have been in love this whole time. I just didn't realize it. Like, I truly never comprehended anything the way that I've comprehended it all now. Like, it makes sense, And it kind of renewed this sense of romance with me and my friendships. Like, it made me stop and think, like, wait a minute, I haven't been investing enough in my friendships. I need to do more in my friendships. I need to tell the people I love that I do love them, because, like, not that that's the only thing I'm going to get, in the sense that, like at second best, I'm settling for friendships when I could have romance, because that's definitely not what it is. It's just taking a minute to appreciate that, like, if I'm not going to get married, if I'm not going to have a wedding, if I'm not going to have children or anything like that, like, there is so much love that people put into those situations that I feel like has just been, like, freed up for me, that, like, there was this weight of, like, oh, I have to, like, save myself, and I have to reserve this part of me for my future person, because, like, they're gonna come and I'm gonna have to, like, mold into them, and we're gonna be two halves of a whole, and whatever other bougie romance shit you can think of. But it's like, all of a sudden I feel like I have this extra part of me, this, like, extra limb that I didn't know I had, that it's like, wait a minute, like, I can commit all of this, like, all this time spent searching for another person, all this time spent fantasizing about, oh, what is my wedding gonna look like? I can stop and redirect all that energy into things like actually reaching out to my friends, and actually learning how to be vulnerable with the people that I'm already talking to, learning how to open up with my friends rather than waiting to open up with somebody I'm never gonna meet. And that's, like, terrifying, but so freeing. I understand that, like, ace people and allo people are just, we're so different. Like, I will never understand allosexual people, and allo people really don't understand me. But it's books like this that give me hope that, like, we are one step closer to having other people understand us better, you know, because I understand. I don't fully, like, comprehend it, but, like, I have read enough romance books to, like, kind of have an idea of what romance is like. Like, I get what the whole sex thing is. I don't understand why it happens, but I get it. I get it, you know? But there aren't enough stories like this to show people that, like, I really am fine. Like, I'm not looking for another person. I'm not searching to get married. I'm not looking for a child. Like, I have everything I need. I'm happy, and I am in love. Because I think if straight people read this, they would stop coming up to me and being like, so don't worry, you'll find somebody someday. Don't worry, you'll change your mind. Don't worry, it'll all work out. No, it's working out great. I'm 25, I am single, I am alone, I will always be single, but I'll never be alone, you know? The other thing that I did want to touch on really quick, there were 3 ace characters in this book. I knew we were gonna get the one. We got a second one, like, a little bit into it, and I was like, 2 in one book? This is unheard of. And then there was a third one. Like, the cousin Ellis came in and was like, wait, am I ace too? I don't want any of that. This is crazy. I was like, I've never read about 3 ace people in one book. That's freaking amazing. It's amazing. And this is exactly why Reputation and Album by Taylor Swift. And this is exactly why representation is so fucking important. Because I am a white cis person. I may be ace, but I am white. And so most of my experience outside of my sexuality is shown on the page, is shown on the screen, whatever. But the fact that, like, I felt all these feelings in this book just because I have not seen a lot of ace rep, like, once you see yourself represented, it really makes you reconsider all the other people who aren't represented, whatever part of their identity that means. And so it's really, really important to have good rep for that reason, you know? And if you haven't felt this yet, I hope one day you get to feel it, because it makes you cry, it makes you giddy with excitement, it makes you understand parts of yourself that you didn't really understand before. And so that is why I always want to be working towards championing own voices books and good representation and all that jazz and diversity and whatever, because I want other people to feel the way that I felt reading this book, honestly. That was a lot a lot to talk about, but I highly recommend this book. Whether you're ace, whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whatever, like, this is a good book. And I'm just so proud of Alice, because I've seen how hard she's worked on it. She had to rewrite it like 2 or 3 times, and she missed a bunch of deadlines, and I felt so bad for her, but it created great art, so it's all good. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, as always, for supporting me. You guys have seen me go through the ace journey, and it's it's been a lot, but you guys have always been really, really supportive of me, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I would love to hear your comments down below. If you have any experience on the aroace spectrum, or maybe you are not ace at all and you just like read this book and had feelings or whatever. I don't know. Just would love to hear from you in the comments. Yeah, thank you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!